All right, so thanks everyone, and the floor is yours, Tracy, Christina, and Ashley.
Okay, well, I'll start then. Welcome everyone. My name is Tracy Sherlock. I'm an instructor in the Journalism and Communications department, and I'm also part of the Climate Plus Challenge, which I've been working on. This is my second year, maybe the third year. Um, and I'm here with Christina Shorthouse and Ashley Pocrnich, who are going to introduce themselves. They are both part of the Climate Plus Challenge. And then we'll be doing a land acknowledgement just after that. Thank you. So go ahead, Christina.
All right, next slide, please. Yeah, so if you're coming here out of complete curiosity of who we are and what we do, I invite you to scan this QR code, which will take you to our website. And also we do have an Instagram channel as well. So those are just a couple of points of contact for us. But next slide. So I'll just quickly introduce myself, and my name is Christina Shorthouse. I've been an instructor in the public relations program since 2017, and I slightly consider myself an honorary arts person since I did graduate with a degree in English literature, and I'm passionate about communicating climate change, and that's why I joined this initiative. And I'll pass you over to our wonderful Ashley Pocrnich to introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Christina, and Tracy as well. Yes, hello, my name is Ashley Pocrnich. I am a recent graduate of the Journalism and Communications program with the Bachelor of Journalism and a minor in Indigenous Community Justice. Yeah, I just graduated back in June. I've been involved with the Climate Plus Challenge since 2021 and have been just so grateful for to get a chance to kind of see all of the evolutions that it has taken over time. And I'm really excited to present it to all of you here today. Thank you.
We're definitely glad to have you here, Ashley, and have had your input since almost the inception. Next slide, please. Oh, I thought I fixed this slide. Actually, potentially the next slide. Mm-hmm. Yes, there it is. Sometimes these slide share programs are not great. I wanted to acknowledge that the KPU campuses are located on the unceded, traditional, and stolen territories of the Coast Salish people. And I find this, this is a screenshot of the Kwantlen First Nation, their webpage, and which is kwantlenfn.ca, and we know that they have graciously shared their name with us. And just remembering that Kwantlen Traditional Territory extends from Richmond and New Westminster in the west to Surrey and Langley in the south, east to Mission, and at the northernmost reaches of Slave Lake. So we thank Kwantlen Nation for sharing their name with the institution that we work for as well. We have worked hard to integrate Indigenous ways of knowing, decolonization into our practices with the Climate Plus Challenge. And we have Melinda Biga to thank for really setting us on a very meaningful course in that direction, and to help us orient ourselves in directions that will help us to integrate this into everything that we do. And Ashley's going to, or Tracy's going to speak about what the plus in the Climate Plus Challenge does mean, and it does incorporate these themes. So we miss you, Melinda, but we know you're doing great things as an associate dean. So, and with the Indigenous Studies program. So thank you for taking the time to think about where the lands that you are on right now, and continuing to do good work in these areas. Next slide.
So this one's me. You may have to click it again so that the material comes up, but basically you can probably have to click it 3 times. I think there's 3 little paragraphs. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. Basically, at its heart, the Climate Plus Challenge is an initiative that strives to get more people learning and teaching about climate change at Kwantlen, and really just talking about climate change. Like, it could be as simple as that. A lot of our initiatives are about building community, which oftentimes is just a conversation. So our approach is empathetic and solutions focused, which goes into the next slide, which is about the plus in Climate Plus Challenge. So go ahead. I think Ashley's speaking to this one, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tracy. So yeah, people often ask us what the plus in Climate Plus Challenge refers to. People ask, if it is it Climate Plus Challenge? That's not really the case. That's not really what it represents here. The plus, as you can see, it refers to equity and kind of keeping in mind the different ways that climate justice is very intersectional. So we kind of try to keep in mind a lot of empathy in the solutions that we push for at the university, and equitable. We know that a lot of the world's most vulnerable people are on the front lines of the climate disaster and the climate crisis and all over the world, especially here, I would say, including the ways that Indigenous peoples are often the stewards and the kind of caretakers of most of the earth and the natural resources that we all enjoy. But also the Climate Plus Challenge is interdisciplinary across the entire university. And we like to try to keep that in mind, keep that, like I said, intersectional lens kind of about us as we explore our own roles and the role of the university in fighting this climate crisis that we're all experiencing. Thank you.
All right, so the Climate Plus Challenge is an interdisciplinary team. Like I mentioned, Tracy comes from journalism and Ashley comes from journalism. I come from public relations. We do have folks from geography. We have Sue Fairburn from the Wilson School of Design. We have David Sadaway from geography. We have Dale Tracy from arts, and Lee Babington, who is currently with teaching and learning, but also is, on the biology side. He also has a large role in the KPU Wild Spaces event, which is so complementary to the work we do. But we are so pleased to come together to do the work as an interdisciplinary team and bring all those unique perspectives from our different areas of study and research in, and just basically acknowledging that the fight against climate disaster is interdisciplinary. It's going to take poets and writers and scientists and explorers and designers, etc., to all do the work to come up with our solutions. So this is our team. Currently, we are all have a series of time releases in which we're coming together to work as a community on things, but also working on each of separate projects of interest. Next slide.
This one you have to click again a few times. Sorry about that. So a lot of instructors will ask us how they can get involved. This is also going to be a little list of some of the things that we've done so far as Climate Plus Challenge, but these are also ways to get involved. And towards the end of our presentation, we will get into the specifics of how to get involved. But we do have a WordPress website that has a blog, so we keep updating that with current events, both public-facing events and internal events that are about climate in relation to KPU. It also has a list of all the courses at KPU that have participated in the Climate Plus Challenge or that are currently participating. Internally, we have a Moodle site that has more than 114 instructors who have joined from 5 different faculties, so it's pretty massive. And on that Moodle site, we have resources, sample assignments, we have an opening from Elder Lakaton, who opened the Climate Plus Challenge a couple of years ago, and we videotaped that. There's all kinds of resources there. There are a few sample assignments. There's a few different interviews with people who've written books, etc., that you can use in your courses. This fall, there are about 40 courses involved. Now, that's an imperfect number because some of the courses repeat every term, and so but they don't necessarily sign up every term. So take that number with a grain of salt. We recently created and got approved by Senate the Arts 1150 course. It's a brand new course called Introduction to the Climate Crisis, and it is going to be offered in spring 2024. We have a QFL going right now for instructors, so if you're interested, please apply. It's meant to be interdisciplinary. It's very introductory, and it is modeled sort of like Arts 1100, where there's a budget for guest speakers to come in from different disciplines to talk about how climate is studied in their field. It's obviously a first-year course. Yeah, so those are some of the things we've done so far and some of the ways you can get involved. So next slide, please.
So yeah, these are just, I think, click one more time and the copy will come up. These are, again, some of the things that we've done that you can look out for future future versions of. But last spring we had land defender Shaylin Sampson come and give a talk. We have regular climate plus coffee meetups every 2 weeks on Teams, so you can meet up virtually, and those are always super interesting conversations because you never know who will show up and where from. We've had, you know, folks from the music department, folks from brewing, folks from the sustainable farming people, etc. So it can be a mix of both folks with like science as their focus, or basically everything. We have also in-person meetups, which we're calling climate communities, and you can see a picture there of our lead Sue Fairburn leading climate community. She's holding them this semester on Richmond campus in the Wilson School of Design, and it's just kind of a drop-in chat about for students, staff, faculty, everyone's invited. And the middle photo is just our, we have a presence, we did a variety of student orientation events. We enlisted 47 new members to our Student Advisory Council, which we'll be talking a little bit about later, Ashley will. And this is at KPU's open house in Surrey, which was last Saturday. So we are out in the community. We're getting more folks talking about climate, which is our goal, and teaching about climate. All right, next slide.
Click on through. So one of the initiatives that we have created is a book club, and I think this November book club here is either our third or our fourth book. I haven't got it quite straight in my mind, but we try to do at least one per term, and they're usually a book related to climate, well, always a book related to climate change, sometimes nonfiction, we've done a novel. This one in particular is by John Valiant, a Vancouver author, and of course it's about wildfires, but it's particularly focused on the fires in Fort McMurray in 2016. But he's a very well-known author. He wrote The Golden Spruce, which you may have heard of. A very talented writer. This book is shortlisted for the Writers' Trust Prize for Nonfiction and many other awards, as well as being a national bestseller. So on November 15th from 2:30 to 3:30 on Teams, in a similar style to this, we're going to talk about fire weather, and it's just a discussion. Anybody can come. It's open to anybody. We just chat about the book. Sometimes there's a few focus questions or whatever, and that's about it. And you can enter to win a free copy of the book just by registering for the book club. Now, not everybody who registers gets a book, of course, but I think we have something like 10 copies to give away. So register and you may get a book. I hope to see you there. So next slide, please.
Yeah, Tracy, there's lots of copies in the library too. Well, not lots, but there's some available copies in the library in all formats. And the past books that we've done were Ministry for the Future by, I forget the author's name, and Generation Dread by Britt Ray, The Intersectional Environmentalist by Leah Thomas, and now this one. And we have plans for one for the spring too. So, and don't worry if you haven't read the book, it's just a great time to come and discuss the themes. Tracy, yeah.
And I should have added that there are one that we're planning to do for the spring is Not Too Late, which is a collection of essays led by, shall we say, Rebecca Solnit, but also many of them are written by youth, young people. So that's what we're planning for the spring. It's a really great read. I would recommend it. Go ahead, Christina.
All right, so yeah, so like we said, we're really encouraging folks to bring climate into their teaching. You may not expect that's a component of public relations, but so much of the work we do is to change people's perspectives and change their minds and inspire action. So a lot of the work we do in public relations planning and writing is around climate and creating media plans, creating communications plans around climate issues. So and inspiring action and change around that. So I have no problem bringing climate into my coursework. It obviously comes into our crisis communications coursework as well. So absolutely no problem bringing that into our courses. And we love to talk to other instructors about ways to bring climate into your coursework. Lee Bevington just wrote a great blog post where he analyzed a few different programs throughout KPU and suggested ways to bring climate into those. There's really no topic that can't touch on climate, really. So check out that blog post on our website, and we'll give you that QR code one more time at the end of. But what's been great about this initiative has been working with the folks, for example, throughout the university, whether it's the Office of Sustainability or KPU Library. They have KPU Library was inspired to create their own climate library guide, so you can access that through their website where they basically collect and hone in on tons of resources for you in your climate work. On our website, we have lots of examples of student work that has been produced through some of these courses that instructors are offering. And please check out if you're confused about all of the things that we're offering and ways to connect with us and other instructors, we have a fabulous events listing page, which basically just lists by, in calendar order when the next events are coming up, and how to join them, links to join them or directions to join them. So you can access that through our website as well. Next slide. Oh, that's me too, I think. Is it? Yes. Yes. So in addition to contacting us for any kind of, if you want to chat about integrating climate into your courses, please, if you haven't already, join our Moodle site where you can join another community of faculty teaching about climate. You can see who else is where across the campuses this is being taught and integrated into coursework. So you can see that there's a tab for teaching resources. Our Lee Bevington has been working diligently on building a glossary of climate terminology. So you can see there's a lot to access on the Moodle site, and it's a great space to check out and find some new resources if you're looking for them.
Wonderful, thank you. So now I'm going to speak a little bit about the Student Advisory Committee. So the Student Advisory Committee started up not that long ago. We're still kind of recruiting for it, and we will be continuing to recruit for it consistently everywhere we go. The Student Advisory Committee is a group of students from all over the university, of all different levels in different years in their degrees. We meet usually about once a month on Teams. And what's really interesting about the Student Advisory Committee, in my opinion, is that it's fully operated by students in conjunction with the Climate Plus Challenge. So it's led by a student organizer. And as well as advising the Climate Plus Challenge and kind of giving a student perspective on things that the Climate Plus Challenge is doing. The Student Advisory Committee will also have the opportunities to start planning their own projects and events. They've been kind of coming up with different ideas already that are going to be very interesting to see where they take those going forward. I think, like I was saying before, it's a great opportunity for students to have their voices heard and to be involved in their university. And I'm really excited for other students to have the opportunity to kind of have some of the same experiences that I've been able to have with the Climate Plus Challenge here. So I'm really excited to see where the Student Advisory Committee goes in the next few months, few years. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ashley. It's great to have you here. This slide is about a particular project that I'm part of, and it's linked to the Climate Plus Challenge, and it's the Climate Disaster Project, which is a global international newsroom being run out of UVic in partnership with many universities around the world. And it's collecting the testimonies of people who have survived climate disasters. About a year ago, I ran a class, a special topics class that participated in the project. Since then, we've had a little bit of budget in the Climate Plus Challenge to continue creating these profiles and testimonies of the survivors. Yeah, that's about that. And we're trying to get more students involved in creating these profiles. So if you're interested, please be in touch. Next slide. And you can keep clicking. Yes, thank you. This slide captures the results of a survey. But before I get into this, I wanted to mention another survey for anyone who's on here who may be faculty. Just please keep your eye open. There's a survey about how you think universities should be teaching about climate. It's a provincial survey, and it's going to be coming to your inbox, not through Climate Plus Challenge, but it's a provincial body who's sending it out. So please do try to fill out the survey so that we get more information about that. Related to this survey, this was a survey of students early on in the Climate Plus Challenge in the first couple of classes that we took. And just some of the results were that students thought it was very important to learn about climate. And there's some of their comments on the slide. And even the middle one, I'll just point that one out to you. I think it reflects well on the university as a whole, that it is creating these opportunities for students to be heard. So I think students really do see climate as an important thing that they all should be learning about at a very basic level. Yeah, thank you. Next slide.
I need it. So every semester, and some of you may have noticed, some maybe not, but we do a call out for courses, and this usually comes through today at we put the word out in a variety of ways, but it's definitely on the Moodle site as well. And basically, we call for courses. Any course in any faculty can be eligible. And what we are doing is building a list that lives on our WordPress site, our external site, so that a student who's interested in making climate part of their education can see that we are offering this huge selection, and that also external, future employers, etc., want to know, if they want to know that we're graduating students with climate sensibilities. This is basically, we have been building this list every semester, and we would love to add your course. It can be a whole course themed around the climate emergency, or, you know, climate science, which we see coming from geography, etc. But it also can be a course that simply incorporates an assignment or reading about climate change. And my courses, it's either writing for public relations or media relations, or or crisis communications. I incorporate climate into all of those, so I sign up all of my courses on this list, and students, students who have had me for a while know that they can come to expect, some work, doing some work in climate. So please, I guess we can go to the next slide. I can show you what it looks like to sign up your courses. So there's your QR code again, and that will take you to our website, and just look for submit your course. And you can just fill out, it's a really quick entry form like you do for, we usually send out the call out around the same time as the Zero textbook course email goes out. So we'd love for instructors just to kind of add it to you're going to sign up for your textbooks that you have to order, or sign up as a Zero textbook course and sign up for a climate course. We would love you to just take that extra, 2 minutes out of your day to because we would love to capture a more, as Tracy said, it's imperfect. We would love to get closer to perfect if we can. So please join us in signing up your courses and be part of the Climate Plus Challenge.
And just before I get into the benefits, I wanted to also say that people who are signing up their courses there, we are working towards some sort of recognition or credential. We're not quite sure what it's going to look like, but that will be focused around climate and climate education. And so those courses that are signed up for the Climate Plus Challenge are going to be where we're looking to build from. So if you need a motivation to sign up your course, that would be it. Yeah. Okay. So some of the benefits of the Climate Plus Challenge are that it increases student and instructor engagement and builds community. So, like, as I said, we do hold these gatherings. Sometimes they're just as simple as having a conversation about climate. But with climate anxiety, they've shown that just having those conversations can be really beneficial. So there's that. It increases our visibility as a Polytechnic future-oriented university. So I think it's good for KPU as a whole. Oh, and it helps the climate emergency too. Who knows what somebody learns at Kwantlen may be a solution at some point in the future to some of the challenges that we have. Yeah.
All right, so we just want to say how much we truly appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule. We're all remarking how it feels we're so busy this semester, and so thank you for your time today. Thank you for including us in your community, and we would love to include you in our community. And again, there's our QR code for the website, and here's several emails if you know some specific folks that you want to get in touch with. There are the emails are, we are so grateful for our administrative support, Zakia, who's with the Office of the Provost, and otherwise let's talk climate. We would love to chat more with you. Thank you.
Yes, and so if anybody has any questions, we'd also be happy to answer them.
Thanks so much, Christina, Ashley, and Tracy. I'll start, and while I ask my question, people can formulate their questions as well. I was telling you folks earlier that I am one of my courses, actually all of them, but the course that I am giving more emphasis to climate is on sociology of global inequalities. And I'm saying that just to let you know that this project that you're doing is having an impact. And I can say that before joining the Climate Plus Challenge, I of course I cared about the climate crisis, but not as much as I do now. So it did have an impact on me, and I hope that it is having an impact on the students as well. So the question that I wanted to ask is, do you have an example of an assignment that was very impactful on the students? If you have one that you can share so that we can be inspired from.
Sure, I can speak to that. I have used it more than once in a few of my classes. I have used that opening ceremony that we had from Elder Lacaton, the video of it, and I've tailored the assignment to the students depending on their level, right? At a very introductory level, I will have them listen to it and just write about how it makes them feel or what thoughts it brings to them. At a higher level, I will have them write it where they're actually getting quotes from what he said and structuring it as an article that a journalist would use in that way. I think in creative writing you could do that. I think that could probably, I mean, he speaks about British Columbia and the land and the salmon, and there's so many issues that he gets into in that opening. I could see assignments for almost any type of class that could arise out of that. That could be quite simple to quite complex. You could get the students to build on it, like take this away and research what is he talking about the salmon, for instance. Like, yeah. I don't know if anybody else wanted to add to that, Christina or Ashley. Ashley did that assignment, I think.
If
so.
I could speak to something specifically, because I certainly could talk about my assignments ad nauseum, but I would love to hear from Ashley.
Yes, for sure. So, I know I remember very clearly when we had in one of the classes we watched that that video with Elder Lacaton, and I just heard a lot from, the other people sitting around me in class. Legitimately, I'm not just saying this, just how much they enjoyed speaking to him. I mean, he is a powerful speaker, as anyone who has heard him speak before will know. But he talks about things in a very engaging way. And I know a lot of students, it really resonated with them. And not only that, maybe inspired them to look at the Climate Plus Challenge a little bit more as well. I think, yeah, that was I guess my perspective is mainly that everyone enjoyed it who I spoke to. Everyone really enjoyed that assignment.
I can give an example. Thank you, Ashley. So in my media relations class, I had one student choose as her challenge to communicate around was the heat dome, and she picked a seniors community center and sort of created a media campaign around it, focusing in on that as a place of refuge, a cooling center, and it had other aspects to it, but she created a whole media relations campaign around the launch of this center so that we could prevent it was 619 people died in that heat dome, and that was really powerful for her, and it inspired her to focus on a solution that would help prevent that. So, the students will blow you away with what they come up with if you present the opportunity. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Do we have other questions?
Can I ask a question related to this? What is your favorite climate content that you that inspired this work or is spearheading what you're doing now? It could be a publication or a video or something like that.
Good question.
Well, I'll give a plug for the book club that I want to do in the spring term, which I already talked about, but I do find it pretty inspirational. That book, Not Too Late by Rebecca Solnit. However, maybe I'll just say Christina and I went to the Writers' Fest on Sunday night, and we saw actually John Valiant and Rebecca Solnit and another author, Chris Turner. Chris Turner. And they are all writing about how it's not too late on the climate, and really listening to that panel. And you could all hear it. It's on CBC on the Current. They actually recorded it, so you can actually hear a great majority of it. It was missing an Indigenous voice, I thought was unfortunate, but beyond that, it was pretty inspirational in terms of its hopefulness. And the main message I would say that I took away from that, well, I'll give two. The main one was that renewable energy didn't look feasible or able to meet our needs as recently as 10 years ago, and that now it absolutely does look feasible that we could run a world on renewable energies. So that was quite amazing to hear. And then the other message was that we are all climate communicators, and it's all of our job to be talking about this all the time to try to make a difference. Yeah.
Thanks, Melinda. Other questions? I can share one more thought. I participated before joining KPU. I participated in a course about communications around climate change. I forgot now the name of the person who taught the course, shamefully. But the main point about the course was how communication happens more successfully when we connect with the people we are talking to emotionally. How the emotions play a central a central role in the way we communicate. Because if the person who we are talking to doesn't see us as a legitimate voice or a voice that deserves to be heard, then they won't pay attention to what we say. So I'm sure, Christina, you are probably, and Tracy and Ashley, you are the experts on that. But maybe this is something you could share your thoughts on.
It just ties nicely. One of the pieces of content, there's lots to Melinda's question, is Catherine Hayhoe's book, Saving Us. She's a climate scientist and a very respected one, but much of her book is around climate communication, and that's right where you have to connect with something that matters to folks, whether it's their kids or their their religion, etc. So that making that connection, and that's what we do in public relations, is building relationships with folks. But I think I also I really love dystopian literature. It's a bit scary, but from an arts perspective, reading authors like Cherie Dimaline with the Marrow Thieves, and there's just so much richness out there in terms of what we could be heading towards and what we need to head off and correct before we get there. So it all ties in together. There's so much lovely content, but also exchanging ideas with all the folks like at KPU. Yeah.
Thank you. Tracy? Oh, and then Ashley.
I forgot what I was going to say, so we'll move on to Ashley.
Thank you. If you remember, you can cut in. I just wanted to point, I also thought of something to answer Melinda's question before. When I took Tracy's class, where we participated in the climate disaster project, we read some of the other stories that had been written for that project. Some of them were published in Megaphone magazine. And I guess the whole point of that project really is to get the stories of anyone, just people who have experienced the climate disaster, and especially, places where it's been very severe. And we learned a lot in that class about how to empathetically tell stories, how to empathetically interview someone. And it really, on a personal note as well, reminded me that everyone's experiences with the climate disaster have been intense. Some people have had extremely intense experiences, but they're all valid, and all these stories are worthy of being shared, told, and also like recorded as well, to be experienced again in the future to kind of remind us of the importance of a lot of these, the importance of the work that we're doing right now. And yeah, I think like you were saying before, we got to speak with someone who had experienced losing her house and losing her photographs of her family, losing artwork that she had spent her life creating, and just getting to speak with someone else, you know, maybe not a climate communicator professionally, but someone else who just like us who has experienced these things, was really profound and moving for me. And hopefully a lot of the other stories as well that have been involved with the climate disaster project will have that kind of same effect on people going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. I found the name. It's Patricia Lane, the person who taught that course. It was through the Vancouver Society for the Protection of the Environment, SPEC. Oh, we have two people who want to ask questions. So Abby, and then Ing.
Hi everyone, my name is Abhirami. I have a quick question. Who's teaching the introduction to the climate crisis in spring 2024?
I can answer that if I'm unmuted now. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't see because all those notifications were popping up. We haven't hired the person yet. There's a posting internal to KPU. We're going to be doing a QFL in the next week or so to hire somebody. Yes, and I encourage you all to apply.
Thank you. QFL is qualified faculty list, right?
Oh, correct. Sorry, I shouldn't use lingo. Yes, that's to create a list of qualified faculty who could teach it in this spring and who could teach it going forward. Yeah.
Thanks, Tracy. Ing.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and I think it's very important for every, like you said, for faculty members and students to be more fully aware of the climate issues. And so I have a question about the climate in relation to ecology, because I'm not an expert. It's not one of my research focus yet, but I'm very interested in learning more about ecology. And I think climate is a very important aspect, if I may say that, of ecology. And right now there's a trend of ecology or deep ecology, which I understand is like talking about the intrinsic values of everything in nature, like animals and plants and trees. So beyond the Anthropocene, the focus on humanity only. So I'm wondering whether you can see any ethical implications, or the ethics which is intrinsic in your research about climate, or what do you see the relationship between climate and ecology in your research?
Anybody want to tackle that one? I can try. I would say we are we are trying to make the learning that happens as place-based as possible, which means connecting with nature and the land and all of that. I do for sure see that there is a connection between ecology and climate. I think that's undeniable. I'm not sure if I'd answered your question. You asked about ethics, and I'm not exactly sure where you're going with that, so I don't know.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to grapple with myself is like the ethics beyond human Anthropocene human beings. I mean, for example, when we talk about the animals and living things in nature, so what kind of ethical guidance they may have for us? So it's like not only for human beings to protect the environment as an object, but it's like more like engaging and to see the intrinsic values in those in those non-human beings, and then being more informed as human beings ethically by them. So it's like a more like a dynamic interactions rather than saying, oh, that we need to protect some protect our world as if we have the kind of a hierarchical advantage over other beings. So I don't know what I'm making my
I feel like that's inspiration for a great panel discussion that we could host. And also I would just maybe defer that one to Lee Bevington on our team, who's also sort of cross-appointed to the Wild Spaces initiative, but it's bringing in that land-based learning, like Tracy said, and it's incorporating Indigenous ways of knowing. In the spring, we did a plant walk with Deanna Miller, thanks to Melinda for arranging that. And it's just increasing that, literally taking your classes outside, increasing that connection with the natural world. And to me, that feels very much like ethical practice but it depends on how you define ethics. And I bet there's some very talented folks in the KPU community that might want to have that conversation for sure. I don't think Tracy and I are qualified to answer that in our capacity. Yeah.
As well, if I could just jump in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Sorry. As well, there was also I think at the very beginning of the summer, a couple months ago, there was a pollinator kind of workshop that was hosted by Wild Spaces as well. That was where Lee brought in an expert as well, where we spoke about the pollinators that are present on the land there. We spent a little bit of time in a classroom learning about, how to spot different pollinators and things like that. And then we actually went out into the space at the Surrey campus and got to experience walking around and kind of looking more closely at the land and at the plants, especially, and the pollinators, the things flying around our heads, more so than I think I would have normally done so. And I think events like that are hosted by Wild Spaces often, but I would like to see more of them as well, are really, really amazing. Like we were talking about, having more land-based learning, things like that. Kind of really centering the land that we're on in our learning. And it was very centric around climate change as well, and making sure that we protect these habitats for these pollinators as well.
I was just going to jump in to take a stab at the question, but that's okay. I was just going to suggest Lee Miracle's book, Conversations with Canadians, because Lee Miracle talks about exactly what you're mentioning, Yingma, about, specifically in this book around Canadians putting themselves in the seat of the knower's chair, and Indigenous people are not in the knower's chair. And defining what indigenization is. And indigenization is seeing the world through an Indigenous lens and applying that to your day-to-day, which is in essence what you're talking about, what differentiates Indigenous cultures from diaspora or other cultures around the world is that Indigenous peoples have a distinct connection to the land and the territory. And so the challenge, I think, after at least 150 years and even longer, at least since like 1867, of colonization in so-called Canada, is that we're only doing indigenization, or formerly referred to as acculturation now, that we're on the precipice of incredible disaster. And so it really is about shifting like your lens, or not you, but like the royal you. Sorry, that was my pun. Anyways, around this issue. So there's tons of great resources from the local territories that support this. And one of such resources I would encourage is, touching base with like Cease Weiss, and I'll put all the names in the chats. Papakia, what's Cease's daughter's name? I can't believe her name just left me. Sinaquila Weiss, and the ethnobotanists of the region that are culturally integrating their knowledge with Western knowledge systems in order to, encourage biodiversity in the spaces that already exist across the territory and reintroduce indigenous species and removing invasive species to try to support, a transformation. So I think the heart of your question is around indigenization, and Indigenous people have been talking about this for a long time, is that when you go to a different place, you learn a language from that place, you learn the norms and the values of that place. And not the only place, but like 5 major countries that didn't occur in, and Canada happens to be one of them. So yeah, I'll pop those names in the chat, but I love the question. It's so deep. It's such a deep question. That's why I love it.
Thanks, Melinda. All right, we are 2 minutes to the end. Thank you everyone for attending, and especially Tracy, Christina, and Ashley for presenting your amazing work. And we look forward to seeing you in the next session on November 15th on Dramatic Insights. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks so much for
Bye-bye.
coming. Thanks for your time.